take a seat and get comfortable on the coaching couch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Coaching Couch with the Business Vision and Development Center. I am Yvonne Lorraine, your host today, and I'm always so excited to have with me Miss Sharon Taylor from the Business Vision Development Center. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Yvonne, and of course, I'm always ready for my Wednesday coaching session on your couch. What are we talking about today, Yvonne?
Well, Sharon, today we're going to talk about caregiving. We're going to talk about not just the people who actually care for others, but we also want to remind our caregivers to make sure that they first are taking care of themselves.
Totally, because if we don't take care of ourselves, Yvonne, how are we expected to take care of somebody else?
Sharon, and the thing is, we don't, and if we do, we don't do it well, because caregiving for others, especially when we're focusing on our elderly for the most part, when you're caregiving for the elderly, we definitely have to be patient. We have to be able to allow them to be in their space. And in order to do that, so for example, if you're not getting enough rest, the caregiver, you're not getting any rest because you're doing 100 things, because we always got a million things we try and get done in one day, right? But for people who find themselves really having to caregive for someone, they have to learn to really manage their schedule so that they don't end up breaking down trying to do it all.
I agree, Yvonne. And I know what it looks like because I watched my mother be a caregiver for my stepfather. And I know how much a schedule and help is important.
That's right, Sharon. And really, and when we're talking about, because a lot of parents are dealing with Alzheimer's or any type of mental health situation in their older ages. So then you have parents who need children to be the ones most likely who are stepping in to help. But one thing, Sharon, that I wanted to point out about that too is everybody is not a caregiver. I'm sorry. Even if people feel like they want to, if you don't have that caregiving type of spirit, you can cause more harm to the person that you're trying to care for than help. That makes sense, Sharon?
It does make sense because all of us don't are equipped with the same gifts. And if we're not, then that leads to a lot of guilt feelings on the person who wants to give the care, knowing they're not equipped to do it, knowing that they're not doing it properly, but refusing to step aside because you're the daughter or the son and you feel this is my responsibility. And the other thing is, Yvonne, people will look at you a certain way if you don't step in to be the caregiver by virtue of who you are in the line of as the child or the aunt or the uncle. If you don't step up, they're looking at you like this is your responsibility.
Yep, and that's where, Sharon, we have to learn to not allow people and culture to dictate what we're supposed to do as individuals. So I would like to encourage anybody who's in the space of caregiving to, one, be honest with yourself. Are you really able to care for the person that you're trying to care? And especially when some people have worked very hard, Sharon, to make sure they were prepared for this season of their lives. So if they need help to come in, I'm not saying send them off somewhere, but if you can, because their environment is just as important.
Yes.
But if you can bring somebody in to come and assist while you're still working, because most people are still leaving home, going to work every day. Like I said, trying to do it all. And now you have added the space of trying to care for someone who needs more time with you than between 7 and 9 p.m. at night.
I agree. And, the time to have these conversations, and they can be very difficult when you're dealing with parents who do not want to talk about
Right.
their declining health, and you're trying to make decisions so that they are able to help you with speaking to what they want. I have this conversation with my mother. What is it that you want?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you expect? I know she wants to be in our home. I know that if I'm still working, I'm going to have somebody to come in. But you have to have these difficult conversations. Otherwise, it's left for the people who are going to be given the care, because,
Right.
they don't know what to do.
Right.
And they're going to
Ensuring.
do what they think is best for you or for them.
Mm-hmm. And in having those difficult conversations, that's one of those things that we're talking about today. The conversation is already difficult on both sides. So we have to be the ones to not take it personal when they come back, because some people, I hear different things about trying to do this, but it takes having the conversation, having it with love. If you have to have the conversation, make them think that it's their idea. Right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So you have to be tapped in. You have to be praying for real. Also, be prayerful about how you're dealing with them, the decisions that you're making for them. And I believe, and like you said, Sharon, have the difficult conversations on the beginning side. Maybe have them before you even have to worry about it.
Right.
And we have to get better at having those conversations, because we just don't know when. Unfortunately, COVID did not help. So any senior who was used to being out and about doing their thing, depending on what happened during that period of time, being closed in, having to stay in one space, depending on their living arrangements, and still being fearful of COVID.
Right.
Right. that does a lot. That has done a lot to a lot of people, especially our elder generation.
It sure has, Yvonne. And because I'm in this spot where my parents are elderly, I've taken that opportunity to talk to my children about what I want and what I don't want. And then I even went so far as to, go to an attorney, have them write it up so there's no discrepancy. Somebody steps in that you haven't seen and God knows how long, and they want to take over.
Right.
And may not know what my wishes are. And so I have them memorialized on paper in a certain place. But with my mom, it was, and it's still fighting tooth and nails, even to know where she has her safe deposit box with the will and stuff and the deed in. And I know there's a generational thing.
Yeah.
And so I have to be delicate with that, with the conversations. But at the end of the day, the conversation needs to be had. And I try to remind her as softly as I can. If you don't let me know what you want, then you leave it to me to make the decisions.
That's right. That's right, Sharon. And even in that, the end of this conversation that I wanted to make very clear for our caregivers was, one, to make sure that you are the chosen caregiver. Something you may not have option in some cases, right? Because we all know there may be just one child that can, there may be those other siblings who have already chosen to not be involved. That's the case sometimes too. So if you are the chosen one, then you have the responsibility of taking care of yourself first. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, I'm not gonna say you can't take care of whoever you're trying to take care of, but everybody's not a win situation, because if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're suffering and you're still just doing and making the moves that need to happen. And if and the person you're trying to take care of, they do feel, they get that energy from you too, for real.
They know, especially if you're their child, they know you being impatient and irritable and cranky and all of those things. And so
And it's hard. It's hard
it
for both
is.
sides,
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage the caregivers today and to remember, just wanted to point out that yes, there are a lot of people, and we know that last month, I think is the month that they actually talked about caregivers quite a bit and in the support of that space. So we just wanted to come back and just be like, don't forget you're a caregiver, the care of yourself first, so that you can be able to care for your loved one that you need to, and be able to do it in peace and joy, because most likely, especially in our families we're talking about, we don't know when any of our time is coming. But Sharon, I cannot let us go without also saying, make sure you're caring for the right reasons as well. Don't just be trying to get a check or, whatever the case may be, because not only as just caregiving of our elders, we know some parents have children with disabilities. There are a lot of different areas where people are caring for loved ones, but let's do it all for the right reasons and get them the help that they have access to. So if you have to spend that money for someone to come in to help, spend that money so they can come in to help. Let's not be selfish in that space. So just wanted to share those things. Sharon, you have anything else you'd like to add or add?
Yes, I'd like to add, if you need some help, reach out to Yvonne Lorraine, and she can walk you through it, help you through it, get you some assistance if you need it. And so I'm just glad she's here to help me through some of my trials and tribulations, and to also give us some encouragement. So I thank you for that, Yvonne.
You're so welcome, Sharon. I'm always so happy to be a part of the coaching couch and all of our topics. I just continue to pray that it's helping somebody. I thank the Business Vision Development Center for the opportunity, Sharon. Thank you for all that you do for our listeners. And I am Yvonne Lorraine on Facebook and Instagram, and Sharon.
You can check us out on YouTube at the Business Vision and Development Center. Like, share, and subscribe.
Now, bye.
Bye. Like, share, and subscribe.